Welcome back. So we know that 22 million people have lost their jobs in the United States. It started, of course, with hospitality, retail and transportation. Now it's gone much further than that. It's hitting construction, mining, waste management. And as this goes further, Moody's is warning of what it calls a second order of pullback in demand. Basically, a downward spiral of spending that expands into other areas and sectors such as professional services and business services. Gene Sperling is with me, the former director of the White House National Economic Council. This is the big problem, isn't it, Gene? Because on the one hand, we know that job losses have taken place in certain industries, but if business doesn't recover, then that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy to more job losses.
Well, the hardest thing for any of us in the economic world is that there is no solution here without a health solution. We can talk about when businesses might want to go back. You can talk about what the government might say, but whether people feel comfortable going to ball games, concerts, restaurants, whether they feel safe having workers back in factories and GM and Ford is going to come down to whether there's treatment, whether there's a vaccine, whether there's testing. And so until that happens, we're not really in the normal game of economic stimulus. We're kind of in the game of economic survival. How do we make enough people whole? How do we keep enough small businesses whole and running so that we kind of survive as a country and are able to open up with some strength when we do get these health solutions?
So, Gene, taking that last point that you said, bearing in mind the Small Business Administration has run out of money for the payroll protection program. Now, look, Congress probably will put more money into it, but what's, in your view, the right way that money should be allocated and dispersed?
So, yes, thanks for asking. Look, I think there's two ways to make people whole. One is you help them directly when they're unemployed with health care and very generous unemployment benefits. We've made some progress there. The other, which is often used in European countries, is to try to keep the business whole on the condition that they pay their workers. So the small business program, the payroll protection plan, I think is conceived in an elegant way to make sure that small businesses can get that money, and if they're paying their workers, have some of it forgiven. The problem has been in the implementation. It has become a typical program that allows the sophisticated to get to the front of the line, really people getting to the front of the line who shouldn't be in the line at all. And then you're seeing the nonprofits, you're seeing African-American businesses, people without strong bank connections getting frozen out. So there's also a huge equity issue. This was designed to get to the small business who really needed it and wanted to keep their workers. And I'll tell you, it's going, unfortunately, to a lot of professional companies where people are making $1 million and really aren't being hurt that much at all.
Gene, finally, I come back into that point that we said earlier about what the future looks like. As the governors and the president decide on reopening the economy, I was very taken by yesterday the mayor of Los Angeles saying to Wolf Blitzer that he cannot imagine concerts, major events, sporting events taking place in front of audiences before next year. Extrapolate for me what you think the economy looks like by the end of the year.
Well, this is the right question. And I think when we're talking, look at that small business program. It's just for the next 8 weeks. But if we know that even when a barber shop or a restaurant opens up, if we know they'll have less tables, less people, that means high unemployment. When those concerts don't take place, it's not just the football players or the singer who doesn't get the money. All the people who provide the goods, the vendors, they're all going to be out. So we have to start thinking about something that's going to be longer and more expansive. We have to assume that we may not just have a 20% or 25% unemployment number in April. We may have 10% unemployment for the next year or 18 months. So when you look at the policy response, To use a baseball expression, we're in the third inning, not the eighth inning.
And since I'm more of a cricket man than a baseball man, but I do understand what you're saying, and at
yes.
some point we can compare the difference between the two. Gene, good to have you. Thank you, Gene Sperling, joining me
Thank you.
here on Crosswinds Business.